Salut tout le monde! It's me again. I wanted to do a little recap of my 2025. It's my last trains of thoughts about Vlogmas 2025 and what's about to come for 2026. Let's start with where I was in January 1st, 2025. So I was in Calgary because I had just finished a collaboration with Luminous Voices for their New Year's Eve. I did go see the fireworks with Tobin. I think we still have some video somewhere, or I can actually link you to that video. I actually filmed my experience with them. My beginning of the year started with a falling down. I fell down the hill. Not that hard, but I did hurt my tailbone. It was sore for a couple days, which wasn't very great. We went to Canmore. I can show you a picture right here to go visit Tobin's grandpa, and that was the first couple days. I was right in the middle of my last year of my master's. I got into my master's of music in 2023, and I was finishing up. That was my last semester. I was starting my last semester. It's so hard to believe that was only a year ago, or that it was already a year ago. It feels not that long ago that I was doing my master's, but here we are. I was finishing up my last semester, which didn't include many courses, but there was a very big project, which was my master's recital. When you do a master's in music, you don't necessarily write a thesis. Your recital ends up being your final project or your thesis. As such, that's what I was doing January 10th. I was also, and I'm still working, I guess. I have been also continuing to be involved in my francophone choir, so I'm with les Chantamis, la Chorale Saint-Jean, l'ensemble vocal clé. A lot. Oh my gosh, so much. I've continued to work with le Centre de Développement Musical. So we were starting to work on the Galera stuff in meetings. I'm looking at this and it's just, oh my gosh. So I guess thinking about where I was at that point, I was ready to finish up some projects, and I was also selected as a finalist for Polyphonic 36. A big semester for me. I'm not sure why I did that. In hindsight, that was not my best choice. I don't regret it, but oh my gosh, was it busy. I would evaluate that semester as very much building. So much building. My word for 2025, well, I guess I should back up. I'm not sure if I told you. I might have told you in previous vlogs. Instead of New Year's resolutions, I actually pick a word to represent my theme of the year. And I really try to focus on developing on that theme. I've been doing this since 2017, actually, but I don't remember my first couple words. I only started keeping track in 2019. But my year for 2025 was betterment, and oh boy did I do it in more than one ways, the ways that I didn't even realize I was doing. So through Polyphonic and my recital, I was very much on getting better at my craft. So I was doing weekly meetings with my supervisor. I was working on my conducting. I was very much in two big events where I'm constantly being commented on how to improve, which is a great opportunity, but two of them in one semester was maybe a bit much. By the end of Polyphonic, I did not want to know what I needed to improve, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. In March, we did the Galera d'Edmonton, so we did Galera Jeunesse and Galera Après Dark, which was great. The week after, because apparently I'm not busy enough, I had my recital, March 15th. I passed. All was great. It was wonderful. And at the end of April, I finished my semester. for my master's, and in June I convocated. I got my master's in music and conducting, and in June I did AprilCHeinrich, which you can watch the video here. I'll leave a link of my performance. I still have a lot of thoughts about my whole experience and trying to figure out how I feel, but one of the reasons I really wanted to do it this year is I finally convinced myself to do it. So AprilCHeinrich, for people who are not in the community, is a singer-songwriter competition where you get 6 months of training to really hone in your craft and really learn more, with a final concert where it's really it's almost like a debutante ball where you get debuted? You get your debut as an artist. So as a 18-year-old, it was always my dream to do it, but I went into the classical world for my bachelor's of music 10 years ago, and I didn't necessarily have the time for singing contemporary or songwriting, and so it's really only, I would say, since COVID, since 2020, that I've been writing more and more. And my wonderful friend Amy, who also works with the CIDM, finally pushed me and convinced me to do it. And I was like, I need to apply now or else I'll never apply and I'll be too scared. And so I did, and it was a great weight off my shoulders to finally do it and reintroduce myself. I've been developing in the shadows for so long, so through my bachelor's of music, but as well through my involvement in the Centre de Développement Musical, I've worked a lot in the backstage. So I've learned a lot about how to be a musician in a band. I've learned a lot about being in a choir, how to stage manage, how to be an assistant in several different contexts. But it's been a really long time since I've performed myself and been in the spotlight. This isn't necessarily like a bad thing. I don't regret doing these things, but I've always yearned to go back on stage and to really show what I can do. And as I've been doing more and more workshops in schools and with young people, with teenagers and young adults, they don't necessarily get to see that not only do I know what I'm doing, I have done it. I did do it I did do it in contemporary until I was 18, and then I also did classical music for like 8 years, and I was performing. And so I wanted to have that spotlight back and really push myself to put myself out there. And AprilCHeinrich truly got me to that point. And I got to show myself off, and it was great. I didn't win, which, yeah, it did hurt a little, but really what was important to me is to show to people, like, yes, I know I can sing, and I know what you can see that I can actually sing this way. I love doing it, and it actually got me to seriously think about what I want that to look like in music. I would say for the last 5 years, I've been just collecting contracts and stuff because my only dream was to do music full time. When COVID happened, and there wasn't any performances or really ways to do music, I really had to rethink about how to get music contracts in my life. I've always known I wanted to do music, and I didn't necessarily care how that looked like. And in 2020, I really had to grasp any possibility I could. But that was already 6 years ago, like 5, 6 years ago. And I'm not at a point anymore where I need to grab every single little contract for music. I can actually select my contracts. And so I would say in the last year, especially getting comments, what's that word? Like training, I guess. I've been thinking about the specific ways I want to do music. It did lead me to 2026. Before that though, as I was still trying to collect the things I wanted to do and really think about what I wanted to do, I saw the opportunity to apply for my PhD. My mentor / my supervisor now is planning on retiring soon, which means that things are moving around a bit when it comes to jobs and opportunities. And I always loved doing research, and I really wanted to continue doing research. But outside of academia, that's really hard to do without getting money. So I saw this opportunity with this brand new program. It's in its second year of transdisciplinary studies at the French campus here at the U of A. They were accepting new students for the second year. My supervisor / my mentor was hoping to retire soon. I was like, this is the time. I need to apply to this. And I applied in, I don't remember, probably November 2024, and I got in right away. I got in 3 days later, which was crazy to me, especially because I've had a lot of imposter syndrome through my master's. To have that acceptance letter not even 3 days later was crazy to me. So in September, I've started my PhD, which until now has been a interesting opportunity. It's been very standstill until now. I took my 2 mandatory courses, and I'm starting my directed reading this semester. We did Putty Finnick, we did my master's recital. That was one part of Betterment. The other thing that I was really trying to focus was the personal betterment. So mental health and physical health. I really wanted to focus on working out, especially because we were going to England in August, which was a great opportunity to see the Gilbert and Sullivan Festival, see my in-laws really in action, and as well my partner Tobin in action, in something that he loved. But there's a lot of hills and a lot of walking, so I knew I had to get better. So I really focused on my physical health. I actually started seeing a physical therapist because of chronic pain, and also just conducting so much got me carpal tunnel. So I had to go and figure that out. And things were actually looking up, and really I was getting healthier and healthier. Unfortunately, at the end of September, there was some worrisome things in my eyes, and I had to go to the emergency room to go get tested, and they were worried that I had IIH, idiopathic intracranial hypertension. They saw a little bit of pressure in my brain, or in the brain fluid, and they were worried, so I got onto this medication that was supposed to help. However, the side effects were so wild. I felt worse on this medication than being diagnosed, and I wasn't officially diagnosed. I saw a specialist the day after the emergency, and they were a bit worried, but not too, like, they just said, get on this medication, let's see what happens. Let me tell you, this medication made me so sick for the entirety of October. I legitimately could not tell you what I did in October. I pretty much just sat on the couch all day. I had no energy. I was in so much pain, and I was so out of breath all the time. And there's actually like a little div now in the couch, seeing what I called my Victorian child pose. I'll try and find a painting, but you know those paintings where there's the pale little child in the bed, and he's just like, that's how I felt every day. And that really did not help the betterment part of my New Year's theme, my 2025 theme. However, it did help me develop my 2026 theme, which we'll be talking about a bit later here. Even though I was sick, I got through my courses. Everyone was really flexible. I started my job as facilitatrice des programmes with the CDM. I had started that a bit in June, but I really started full on in September. I continued in October, even though it was a rough go. I performed so many places. I officially joined Amy Rebel's band as a pianist, so I was part of her new single, Nouveau Chemin, which came out in October. I've also done a couple gigs with her, and we're planning on doing more gigs. And I also did my personal gig. I did a performance for the 30th of the Centre de Développement Musical. So even though I didn't win Polyphonic, I've been reintroduced into the contemporary world, and I'm really happy about that. If you want to see every single thing I've done, I put it on an Instagram post on AprilCHeinrich. You can click the link. I'll put, actually in my description below, I do have the link to my Facebook page and my Instagram page. So 2025 in general was very much I don't want to say a rebuilding year, but a pushing the limits year. I was really pushing myself to getting better, which then leads to today, January 14th, 15th, 2026. Through my sickness, I guess, in October, I had to really pick and choose what I wanted to do and really focus on, really think about where to put my energy. And that started to make me think about the rest of my life and how much I give of myself to outside forces. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but it did make me think about how much I give of myself without really paying attention to myself, which is why I then decided that 2026 was going to be the year I was going to be selfish. My word for 2026 is selfish. Now, I'm not saying selfish in the sense that I will only focus on myself and the only thing that matters is me. No, I am a giving person. I love helping my community. I love serving my community. That's not going to change. I am, however, going to put more focus on myself. I'm going to pick projects and I'm going to pick opportunities, not based on if I think it will help the community, but if I actually want to do them and if they will nourish me. I don't want to do projects anymore that is going to fill up my CV. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm 10 plus years in my career. Putting myself in the spotlight in 2025 is giving me that opportunity to really continue being in the spotlight. I deserve to be in the spotlight as well. I don't need to stay in the shadows forever. I can still help in the shadows, but still have my time to shine. I want to show that I love singing, and I want to show that I'm good at singing, and that it's something that I enjoy doing. Which is why in my artist part, my artist persona, we can say, I really am focusing on doing fun music. I'm not focusing on the deep stuff, the deep emotional angst. I really want to let loose and have fun. Selfish 2026, focusing more on what I need as a person and what will nourish me and get me a better quality of life. And I'm excited to just continue being creative and really picking creative avenues that nourish me. And I'm excited to bring you along for this journey. So I hope you enjoy this little chaos blurb, this journal. If there's any specific videos you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. I can't wait to show you more of my projects in 2026 and to bring you along. Thanks for watching. See you next time.